One of the things I found in my studies of NDEs is that some argue that they are sort of a profound form of depersonalization with a subsequent loss of identity, including a feeling of detachment and unreality. Now, you touched on this a little bit with um, the psychedelic stuff, and we've certainly spoken about this on previous shows before. But what do you make of this idea that near-death experiences are a form of depersonalization?
I like that description because it's like you're moving beyond the individual ego and you're merging with something that's beyond you, something that involves a collective, whether it be a collective unconscious and like Jungian terms, where you're connecting with like this morphogenetic field that binds all of us, that thing that we tap into. I like to kind of describe it as like, our own human consciousness is like a drop, and when we die, like that drop gets put back into the ocean of consciousness. It's like this thing that we all tap into and that we all share. But it's it's so interesting how, again, you can get there through psychedelics, you can get there through near death experience. It's like we're tapping into this overmind thing, this thing that, when like the deeper you dive into it, seems to have an intelligence. It seems to have like an intention. With some of these near death experiences too, like I talked to, like I said, this dude named Bill Letson, and he was traveling through this like this spatial dimension of colorful stars, and then he landed in some kind of an area, and he said there were beings there, and they were so happy to see him, and they seemed to know who he was. And he said one of the most intriguing things about them is they had these giant smiles and these big bright eyes, and they all looked at each other and they were giggling and laughing, and they pointed at him and they said, "Ha, he doesn't remember us," which is like so crazy, like it's possible that like what you're really experiencing from a psychedelic or a near death experience is literally death practice, or like an experience of what happens when you do die, or like a maybe like a merging, or like, again, one foot in the door, one foot out the door. Because I've always considered doing psychedelics as death practice, because that's what it feels like. It really, really does feel that way, because you are losing, like when you say depersonalization, you are losing a sense of yourself. They call it ego death or ego dissolution. Sometimes you forget who you are, you forget your name, you forget who the people around you are. Like you literally lose all sense of who and what you are. And that can be a very scary feeling. And when you do have that, a lot of times people fight against it, and they fight to sort of hold on to their identity and maintain who they are and what they define themselves as. But when you surrender to that experience, then what happens is like on the other side of that is that merging with like the thing that binds us, that the consciousness, the transcendence. And on a near death experience, you don't have a choice. On a psychedelic, you do. You can hold on and you can control sort of how much you surrender to what's happening to you, and how much you're willing to listen to the lessons being taught to you. You have that agency. But with a near death experience, you don't have that choice. You're thrown directly into it, and you're basically at the whim of whatever entities or beings you may encounter within that realm.